So, firstly, crude oil is the naturally occurring unrefined petroleum product, while petroleum is a diverse blend of gaseous, solid, or liquid hydrocarbon on Earth. Crude oil is used for a variety of purposes that includes transportation fuels such as jet fuel, diesel, and gasoline. Still, petroleum products are found in crude oil. The byproduct of petroleum contain asphalt, tar, lubricating oils, and paraffin wax. It is also found in chemicals, for example, perfume, soap, insecticide, vitamin capsule, and fertilizer. Oil is the source of plastic used in anything from bulbs to plastic bags. It is used in PVC pipes, vehicles, and cosmetics for carbon fiber.
The first oil well Malaysia was discovered in 1910 by Shell on Canada Hill in Miri, Sarawak. On 10 August of the same year, Shell Miri No. 1 was pulled and started delivering 83 barrels a day in December 1910. In Borneo or Peninsular Malaya, before the 1950s, there were no other drilling operations elsewhere. A state landmark today is the oil well, affectionately known as the Grand Old Lady. Due to the exploration and production of offshore fields in Borneo, petroleum operations started to rise dramatically in the 1960s. On the east coast of Peninsular Malaysia, the late 1960s saw the emergence of offshore oil drilling. In the early days, being the two foremost players, that is, Shell and Exxon, is the international oil firms dominated the oil and gas industry in Malaysia. Several other multinational firms such as Mobil, Oceanic, Conoco, Teseki, and Okerdane preceded this. Nonetheless, the government very soon saw the strategic importance of getting more influence over its hydrocarbon wealth. The Petroleum Development Act came into being under the aegis of the new economic policy. This act established a wholly-owned government corporation with exclusive access to all the gas and oil resources in Malaysia, and thus the Petronas was born.
There are two problem statements. One is the downturn in world crude oil price and another is inefficient labor skills. A significant primary engine of economic development to support a country is global energy market. Global energy market instability such as shifting crude oil markets and the supply of oil reserves tends to influence individual nations' economic growth prospects. In global economic circumstances, there are several explanations why the falling oil price is echoed, such as a downward revision of the estimates of energy consumption after the global economic recession, emerging gaps in global economic efficiency, strategic volatility, and continuing discussion on the proper positions of government and markets. A decrease in oil price could lead to a decline in the cost of transport and electricity for businesses. The reduced cost of transportation and gasoline would also help customers. Since oil is the most exchanged commodity and has a major influence on global transport costs, it could contribute to inflation and will lead to higher rates of economic growth. Lower oil price would ultimately raise their disposable income and allow them to spend more on other products. However, the oil market fall often and there are concerns of a global crisis. If oil price decrease enough, it would also cause some oil companies to go out of business, and this causes bad debt to rise. The oil price collapse is symbolic of the global crisis, and prices have fallen so much that many oil producers are being driven out of business, causing employment cuts and investments to decline. Moreover, depending on the region, dropping oil price can have different consequences. Oil-consuming countries would typically benefit from lower oil price, although a substantial decrease in export income may be expected in emerging nations dependent on oil exports. Falling crude oil price will affect monetary, fiscal, and systematic policy decision-making. Even so, the impetus for this policy to adjust depends on whether the oil importer or the exporter is a country. In recent years, global demand for crude oil and natural gas has escalated, leading to a rise in spending and subsequently a rising shortage of skilled labor. New oil and gas supply means that potential demand is more likely to be met, but the sector does not have the staff it wants to tap new reserves. More than half of all oil field workers will hit the retirement age in the next decade. For the industry, this creates a real problem. Although oil and gas firms are extending operations to new and increasingly remote geographical areas, local qualified labor would have to be built to enable them to rely less on expatriate service. To this end, states, employers, and staff need to collaborate internationally to find a path ahead to resolve the industry lack of expertise. Seeking trained technicians and industry experts with oil and gas expertise also pose a challenge. The country has faced a labor shortage of trained employees for several years now. Automation also eliminates unskilled employees. Globally, oil and gas ventures are growing in scale and scope as more firms explore new frontiers and invest in non-traditional methods of exploration. The top of the list of stakeholder issues is environmental effects, staff welfare, and strict commitment to budgets and schedules. Active energy infrastructure construction companies invest heavily in expanding their project management capability through ingenuity in fields.
In this report, there are two key objectives to be achieved in conducting the research about contribution of crude petroleum production to Malaysian export. The first objective is to identify the trend in the export and import of Malaysian crude petroleum from 2004 to 2014. And second objective is to measure the growth rate of Malaysian crude petroleum export from 2004 to 2014. For finding, we find the data of export and import of Malaysian crude petroleum from 2004 to 2014. Then, from that data, we calculate the net crude petroleum export and the growth rate for that year. The data obtained from the Department of Statistics Malaysia and have been modified according to the objective of the study. The data are compiled and then analyzed based on the graph form as follows. Based on figure 1 in the slide, we can see that all the export value and import value of Malaysian crude petroleum was an inconsistent trend from 2004 to 2014. It is obvious that for 11 years, the trend of export value experienced the highest than the import value of crude petroleum. For, for export value, the highest is recorded in 2005, is 18,390,000 metric tons, and the lowest is recorded in 2013, which is 11,819,000 metric tons. In 2004, crude petroleum export was 18,295,000 metric tons, slightly decreased by 95,000 metric tons to 18,390,000 metric tons in 2005. The percentage increase was 0.52%. It is due to the high demand for Malaysian crude petroleum from other countries. Then, export decreased drastically by 1,515,000 metric ton to 16,875,000 metric ton in 2006. The percentage decrease was 8.24%. It is due to the inability of the organization of the petroleum exporting country, which is OPEC. OPEC is a main body managing and control on the global crude oil market to buy crude petroleum supply. Then, from 2007 to 2013, crude petroleum export experienced a continuous downward trend. It means that export value are decreased every year for 7 years. Percentage decrease during this period was 0.70% in 2008, 2.10% in 2009, 0.24% in 2010, 22.54% in 2011, 6.46% in 2012, and 0.37% in 2013. The gloomy state of the world crude petroleum export market during the year was due to the issue between the United States and OPEC. Advance in crude petroleum production technology by the US government has taken place while there is a large supply of material in the world market. Therefore, this has caused the world crude oil price to reach the lowest level per barrel. Then, after a long time decrease, crude petroleum export increased by 1,128,000 metric ton to 12,947,000 metric ton in 2014. This increase is a result of trade with trading partner under the Free Trade Agreement, which is FTA. FTA, which the Malaysian government has signed, help companies to export more crude petroleum around the globe and enhance competitive advantage, strengthen investor confidence, and to large extent. Meanwhile, for import value, the highest is recorded in 2012, which is 10,854,000 metric ton, and the lowest is recorded in 2004, which is 7,888,000 metric ton. From 2004 to 2007, there are continuous upward trend. During this period, the percentage was increased. The increase in import was due to the upgrading the local product. For example, the National Petroleum Company, Petronas. Petronas import heavier crude to run its refineries, and Shell is completing the upgrading of its Port Dickson refinery to enable it to run entirely on domestic crude. Then there was a decrease drastically by 17.72% in 2013 due to Malaysia's high crude petroleum production at that time and did not require any supply of crude oil from foreign countries. Next is based on the slideshow figure 2 about growth rate of Malaysian net crude petroleum export from 2004 to 2014. It also shows inconsistent trend for 11 years. Where the highest growth rate was recorded in 2013, which is 182.22%, and the lowest growth rate was recorded in 2012, which is negative 66.31%. Positive growth rate only recorded in 2004, 2008, and 2013. The positive growth rate of Malaysian net crude petroleum export was due to the export is greater than import, where there was mainly driven by the nation's rapid urbanization and industrialization, which followed a strong economic growth, while in remaining period experienced negative growth rate because import is greater than export. Other than that, it's due to the lack of economic factors such as lower investment, lower subsidies, and energy trade, where is decrease the oil production and consumption in own country.
Hi, and now for the discussion topic, which is the challenge for crude petroleum producer in Malaysia. As we know, Malaysia is one of the largest petroleum producer in Asia, and that's very amazing. And because of it, it is common to know that Malaysia is a country with a wealth of petroleum revenue, and because of being one of the largest petroleum producer, that shows that our country Malaysia is very heavily dependent on oil and gas exploitation. The producer of the crude petroleum in Malaysia, they are deal with the complex technology innovations that are owing to the challenging environments in Malaysia, and because of that, there are a lot of challenge are waiting for them. So next we go to the main challenge for the crude petroleum producer, which is the logistic. In the oil sector, the logistic becomes a huge challenge for the crude oil supplier for the reason of the production capacities, the time barriers, and the limit of transport modes. Naturally, the oil and gas industries are global. As a result, their commodities and products that are produced by them are transferred between the location that are far apart, and moreover, their main transportation modes is by shipping, and in their supply chain, they are using the cargo ship to transfer their oil products around. Because of that, it might takes more times for the transfer process and costly for the producer themselves. For sure, as the profit organization, they are not happy about to pay the tax, and the petroleum income tax that are implemented in Malaysia blocks the oil and gas companies from gaining the amount of profit. And clearly that the oil companies are having some sort of problem in maximizing the profit due to the tax that reduce their returns. According to the Petroleum Income Tax Act 1967, the taxation for petroleum operations in Malaysia under the act where the petroleum income tax is changed for each year of assessment on the income of changeable person derived from petroleum operation, and the current petroleum income tax rate is 38%. Of course, it's become their responsibility for them to pay the tax, but during the oil price downfall, they are already affected all the oil sector around the world. Is what can I say, is quite a challenge, huge challenge for them, as they are having the high cost of production plus the 38% rate of tax. The fact that Malaysia is one of the largest crude oil exporter as in August 2019, the exports of crude oil for Malaysia was 273.35 thousand barrels per day, and surely the downturn can affect the exportation of Malaysian crude oil so badly. Furthermore, the main government revenue is from the tax, which when the tax is being reduced while the expenditures increase a lot, clearly the governments around the world will have the deficit in their budgets. So what they will do, they will decrease some the importation of the some product, or worse, they will stop the importation of the product they chose. Besides that, the exportation of the crude oil significantly decreased because of the supply itself. This scenario happens when the economic downturn that the producer, especially in this case for the oil and gas sector, want to cut the cost of the production, because they want to achieve the maximum profit, to gain the maximum profit and to avoid the loss. Because of the factors in the production, factors that are need to produce their product is so costly. So what will they do is they will cut down the cost by they will stop or fire their labor, because the labor is very costly for them, and also they will reduce their production. They will limit their production, and because of that, the supply from them is very low, will become low, and in the slow performance. And what can be concluded from this topic is that the export of the crude oil surely will decrease when the downturn of economics happens.
In conclusion, the trend of the import and export rate of Malaysian crude petroleum from 2004 to 2014 is not consistent. Same goes to the growth rate of Malaysian crude petroleum export. In those 10 years, we can see many rises and many falls. Although it's not consistent, crude petroleum has contributed a lot in making Malaysian economy more stable. Malaysia is doing its best to continue improving in this industry, despite having the difficulties as the world crude petroleum market is unstable. These days, crude petroleum are essential because there are many people who use cars, transportation to go to work or school. So they need oil to use the car. So the society and government play important role in making this industry more stable. When national income increase, the Malaysian economy will increase. Thus, Malaysia will be known in the whole world. The export of Malaysian crude petroleum is important for the stability of Malaysian economy. Now for suggestion, there are two roles that are important, which is the government and the society. Malaysian Petroleum Resource Corporation should do more collaboration with an organization that is well developed and has wide knowledge in technologies. This is because they can make equipment that is well advanced and easier to use for the oil and petroleum industry. By using good equipment, the process of making petroleum or other things that are related to oil will be easier and faster. Thus, Malaysia can export more petroleum, oil and gas. As we all know, oil and gas industry is one of the main contributor that contribute a lot in making Malaysian economy more stable. So in order to make Malaysian economy more stable, we should increase the amount of export good. So in order to increase export good, we should use well advanced technologies. When we use a well advanced technology, we can have a good product that will produce more amount of quantities. Besides that, Malaysian National Oil Company strategies, Petronas, should build more petrol stations to increase the total amount of production of oil and petroleum. They also can make the gas more. This can make the export of petroleum rise and thus increase the gross domestic product. Petronas should promote their good using the social media platform and the digital screen so that everyone can see and will be interested to buy their good. When there are more petrol stations, Petronas would also take employees. This can decrease the unemployment rate of this country. Society should play its role as a customer so that the GDP increase. The oil price tends to be not consistent and always impact other industries, and even when the demand is high, it will not affect the oil price. Society should demand more so that our national income can increase as the supplies increase. Instead of using imported goods, they should support our local product set so that the oil and gas industry can increase. Besides that, society can show its support to the national gas product by posting videos or good feedback so that many people can see or be interested in buying this good. By doing so, other people from other foreign countries can know about our product and will know how amazing is our local product is. As we know, Petronas opened some branches in other Southeast countries. By doing so, they will recognize our local product, thus buying it. This will give opportunity for Malaysians to raise higher among other oil exporter.